Good evening. So happy to be here again. For some reason, I'm having some technical issues with my PC and my benevolent pro bono production, but even that will not deter us. Tonight, our guest is Chuo Walters. He's a CPDM, or rather a Paul Biya supporter and a university lecturer at the recently created VAS-Y University. He'll be sitting down with us for an hour and sharing with us the reasons why he's chosen to support Paul Biya, who is 92 years old and who is seeking an 8th term of office. He's been president for the past 43 years. He would also be telling us about his recent other controversy. On the 13th of August, he says that he was at the presidency to deposit a motion of support for Paul Biya, and he saw him pass, but they did not get to connect. Of course, this sparked controversy, as with many other things. He's a university lecturer who, with every outing, knows how to be the topic of conversation for good or other reasons. Chuo Walters is our guest tonight. He's ready to join the cast, and in another few moments we'll be having him jump on so that we can have a 1-hour deep dive. And in the news today, you might want to know that one of the presidential candidates for the Univer Party, Akere Muna, has petitioned the Constitutional Council to annul the incumbent's candidacy on grounds that he is not eligible because of his dependence, his physical and cognitive dependence, which is anti-constitutional. And also, we know of the mass kidnappings by Boko Haram in the far north regions of 25 people, amongst which were 5 siblings from the same family. One of those children is reported to have been killed. A crestfallen mother was seen on a local TV station today, just begging the government to assist her, to come to her rescue. They say it is top secret and they are working to resolve this, to reclaim the hostages. But we are learning this evening that one of the boys, her eldest son, was already murdered by the Islamist group. And initially their ransom was sitting at 50 million francs. Now they're asking for 5 million francs, and the woman is being harassed, even though as she's grief-stricken. She's just begging the government, and her cries for help are just heart-wrenching for any right-thinking person. And one thing that is interesting is when I announced that Chuo Walters and myself were going to sit down for a 1-hour conversation, did spark quite a bit of outrage. It really did spark some outrage, and I could read the criticisms on my wall. The intention, as I've said, is to allow everyone with a voice who makes the news to come on and comment and give their commentaries. So my page is really about facts, commentaries, and opinions. It is really not, I'm not in the business anymore of giving my own personal opinions, but certainly the people who make the news do have the right and the freedom at their choice and will to come on here and jump on my platform and have a conversation with me. I'm open to cut across the board. Like them or not, they do have a voice. They do have people who love them, but they also have people who despise them. Either ways, these are opinion leaders. He is a pro Biya opinion leader, and he'll be here tonight to tell us why. Laurent Elvis, merci. Je suis ravie. Merci pour le compliment. C'est peut-être le rouge. But yeah, we are here. Chuo Walters, if you are here already, kindly just click accept on the link that I sent so that you can jump on live and we can begin this conversation. Again, Chuo Walters will be our guest tonight. I am multitasking as we speak. I'm connecting with him just to confirm that he's on here so that we can add him and we can have the conversation. Again, massive kidnappings in the far north regions are wreaking havoc in that part of the country. Boko Haram has been a menace to Cameroonian defense since 2009, 2010, 2011, skyrocketed somewhere around 2004, 2013, 2014. But lots of people have died, and in the most callous ways, and we see them coming back here. And just kidnapping people at will, you know. It's an Islamist group, and they have their own values and principles, but kidnapping children, 5 from the same family on their way back from Kuseri, another 20, that's simply unacceptable. Again, Chuo Walters Aya is my guest. I'm just waiting for him to join so that we can start the conversation. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing to be able to just multitask in this modern world. You know, you can be typing somewhere and then you can be on a Facebook Live having a conversation. I really just love this age where you don't need to be all straight-jacketed and stiff-necked. What's wrong with me today? Yeah, I'm waiting for Chuo. He still hasn't joined the call. Chuo Walters, if you can hear me and if you are on, all you need to do is accept the request, the enter live request that I have sent, and you can pop on. All I am waiting for is for you to just connect. It's just that easy. I know that you are connected, but you need to accept the request to join the live that I just sent. You know, so if you click on the little icon at the bottom of your screen, it should tell you that I sent you a request to join the live. If you just go ahead and click on it, you'd be added on here almost immediately. Chuo Walters Aya is the man who saw, or who says that he saw Paul Biya. He's active, he's in good health, and he's working on the 13th of August when he went to deposit a motion of support for the incumbent president, who is 92 years old, running for an 8th term and has been in power for 43 years. Mr. Bliss, I appreciate you, and you know the titanic work that you have been doing for me on the back end. I would never say thank you enough. Yeah. Mr. Walters, Chuo, I appreciate you being on here. But again, you would have to accept the request that I sent for you to join on live so that we can start the conversation. If you're just in here, it doesn't make much of a difference. You will need to click on the request to join that I sent. You will need to hit accept so that I can be able to have you come on. Mr. Nana, who knows? Maybe he had dinner, or he's currently having dinner at Etudi with the president. You might be right. And he's wrapping up his third course, his 3-course meal, so that he can join us here and he can tell us what the president has at his dinner table. Yes, Mr. Aya, again, I just want to please Go ahead, accept. Is there anybody else who can break it down in a different language for me so that, I might just not be eloquent enough for him? But yeah, I shared the invite for you to be able to join me on the live Facebook. And if you go ahead and click on it, it's easy peasy. And as soon as you click on it, there's going to be a camera icon on your handle. And I'm going to be able to just add you immediately. In other news, the Social Democratic Front's flag bearer in this presidential election, Honorable Joshua Osei, has said, you come into a presidential race to win, and if Paul Biya can defeat him alone, he doesn't see the reason why he cannot win on his own against Paul Biya. So I think that is clear. A coalition is really not his preoccupation at this time. He feels that the Social Democratic Front is ready and can win this election. And so, yeah, he's busy, canvassing for votes and, canvassing for support. I see that Aya has, okay, so there we have it. Chuo Walters Aya has joined us. We should be seeing him any moment from now. And he'll be telling us where, how, and what he was doing at the presidency and in what area he saw the incumbent president. Internet connection in Cameroon is not always the very best. We do understand that. Can be a nightmare. In fact, he confided in me earlier today that he had 3 different internet connections, and he really doesn't play about his connectivity. Oh, it looks like he disappeared again. Sure. Walters Aya. Peut-être un problème avec Eneo, qui sait? Non, je pense qu'il m'a dit qu'il avait chargé tous ses téléphones et donc il n'a pas de problème d'Eneo, surtout pas ce soir. Il s'est aussi apprêté sur le plan de l'Internet, donc c'est clair que il est vraiment, il est armé pour ce soir, si on peut le dire comme ça. Il venait de redisparaître, comme Merlin, l'enchanteur. Yeah, but we're waiting on him. But how are you guys doing? Emmanuel Tonga, monsieur le régional, bonsoir. J'espère que vous allez bien. And everybody else who is here this evening, thank you so much for your time. Mr. Walters, you are the star tonight, and we are waiting for you to connect with us. It will be a pleasure to have you share with us your seeing the president, but also your stances on several other issues. You're known for quite a few controversies, I must say. I remember 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, in the middle of the COVID crisis, you calling Edith Kawala not credible for writing, she and 20 other women, to the UN to call for a Security Council, to call for an investigation into the embezzlement of COVID funds. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can only do what we can do, Nestor. We're waiting on him. We're going to be here as long as it takes for us to get a hold on him. We've been waiting almost 20 minutes, and we hope that he can join us at some point. And for those of you who are US based, am I the only one who feels like the climate is changing and we're gradually transitioning into the colder months already? I noticed the nights are not as sweaty. And I noticed that it's kind of drizzly, it's cooler. I'm able to put on a light sweater. Yeah, I dread the cold, especially January and February. Those are my worst months of the year. I feel like everything just grinds to a halt. Ghaabi, why do you think he's a clown? I mean, the Cameroon government does not think he's a clown, right? They made him a lecturer in the University of Bertois earlier this year, so one man's meat is another man's, or one man's poison, trash is another man's treasure. Okay, I've added him again, and I'm just waiting for him to jump on. This is some high level gymnastics here. I mean, just for him to come on is a problem. Finally, he's joining us. Good evening, sir. It's a pleasure to have you.
The pleasure is mine, even though I can't see you well.
Yes, and as I said, I was having some technical issues earlier in the day with my workset devices, and so I'm using my phone again. But it makes it more fun. It makes it more lighthearted. I can see you very well. I see your blue suit and your blue tie and your yellow shirt, just in case you don't believe me.
Yeah, that's true, but I don't see you.
You don't see me at all?
Yes, I don't see you.
Okay, but I'm here. Maybe it's a network issue from Cameroon's end. Um, Viewers can confirm if they can see me. Just let me know if you can see me, those of you who are watching, so that we can proceed. You're being teased in the comment section. But yeah, as I said earlier, university lecturer. But what many people don't know is that prior to the last 3 years, you were an advocate as well for the Anglophone struggle, or what today is the Anglophone crisis. And you worked with Mantra BBC prior to the flare-ups of the Anglophone crisis at Radio Abakwa, and you claim to be one of those who was part of the Coffin Revolution. I was able to even confirm with him that you worked together, and he believes there's credibility to some of your allegations that after he was arrested, you were persecuted because many people who worked with him and knew him were persecuted. And my question is, isn't it a huge stretch for you to go from that end of the spectrum, leave your comrades who are today in jail, to cross over into the Biya regime that is really the one who is persecuting these people? What made you arrive at that kind of a crossroads and make that kind of a turn?
Because when I was arrested, I left home at 2 a.m. Only one journalist came and was driven away. He came to give me water. They took the water and gave me. Everybody that was supporting me, nobody came to me. At 2 to go to where I'm safe. From bringing people who want to support me when I'm going to prison.
So you're saying that your decision to become a pro-Biya supporter was because you did not receive any popular support the night you were arrested in 2017?
Yes. No. When I was arrested in 2022 by Simil.
Or when you were arrested in 2022 by Simeon?
In 2017, I was kidnapped by the ADF. I was shot on a leg during a crossfire in Bambili when I was going to lecture at the Bishop as part-time.
But quick question. Even when the people, nobody came to support you and only a journalist was there to give you water and was shooed away by the regime, it wasn't these people who arrested you, it was the regime that arrested you. Don't you feel like it's conflicting to go and to fall in love with the person who abuses you?
You know, they arrested me when I was speaking for the struggle. It was when I was speaking with it, not the politician, there are two periods here. The first period when I was arrested was in 2017
Yes.
by Boy when I got a bullet. The second arrest was when they arrested me, I promised them that I will come on TV and defend the struggle. So when I came to TV to defend the struggle, that is when they got me arrested. And I did not have any support. I decided to join the government where I will have peace, because I would have been in prison now with
Don't you feel
and the
like you
rest.
sacrificed your principles because of the fact that you didn't get support? Were you going into the struggle only just because of support, or you were going in for a question of principle?
I was going for a question. Where is Abdul Karim? You know that I was with Abdul Karim from one TV station to another, one radio to another, to speak for the defense. Abdul Karim is in prison can testify to you. I was with Abdul Karim in all the TV and radio stations for the struggle. But we discovered that the struggle has become a mess and a business. And when I was even arrested, nobody supported me. The struggle is a mess and a business. So why should I not go to where I will be safe rather than going to prison for people who don't have pity? I would have put up Anglophones, but they don't have pity for those who are fighting for them. That's my reason.
But is it any different on the side of the regime when you talk about a lack of pity? Because they are known to torch down several villages, they are known to kill innocent people, and they are known to have caused people to run away into the bushes and find no other opportunity but just to take up arms to be able to defend their own lives. Is there a difference? Isn't it even worse because they have more power in their hands, more military might, and the laws that be are in their favor?
I think that the situation is no more the same. Cameroon government, according to my finding, has the military, enough weapons and enough military within 24 hours. They can stop the violence in the northwest and the southwest. But international community, we have signed treaty with the international community that does not permit Cameroon to go in to a heavy load army in the northwest and southwest. So,
But you are the same person who said on a television program 2 to 3 years ago that the war was asymmetric and the Cameroonian government had no way of winning it because they were going to a terrain that was foreign to them, and the Amber boys who were fighting are familiar, are from those regions, master the rough terrains very well, and are now armed. And that the only way you could solve the Anglophone problem was if you were put in front of President Biya to have a conversation. What has changed?
I think that President Paul Biya has enough, and he even knows the Anglophone problem more than us, because he was one of the the member of the delegation that went to Forbin in 1961. So what I gave to him was just the magic key to solve the Anglophone crisis. That's what I gave him. That was my reason of meeting President Paul Biya and giving him that key, and he successfully collected the key. So he knows what to do.
But for 43 years, this man held high-ranking positions in the Ahmadou Ahidjo regime when Cameroon became one with La République, or British Southern Cameroons. Why do you think 43 years later, when the crisis has gone from bad to worse, he is still the man who is able to solve the problem? Are you saying he's able and there's no political will of his to solve the problem? Or are you saying that he simply is not competent?
He is competent, but he has blockages in the way.
He's the president of the republic, the most powerful man in the land. How can he have blockages in the way? He has seen people cry.
The blockages are warmongers. These are the people who are blocking the reduction of the Anglophone.
But who are the warmongers, Dr. Chuo?
Yes.
Who are the warmongers? You say that he has blockages and the blockages are warmongers.
The
Who are the warmongers?
warmongers are invisible because they are the ones who supply weapons and arms. Do we have any industry in Bamenda that fabricate weapons? Do you have any industry in Bamenda that fabricate bullets?
But doesn't that
Do
pose an
do
even
we
bigger
have any
problem
industry
of a lack?
that
Doesn't that bring out the crying incompetence of the regime to secure its own borders? If
no?
arms can be smuggled at such a large scale, does that not open the caveat? Is that not a caveat into another problem as to part of the reason why he maybe should not be elected for another term? He's not been able to
No.
secure his borders, because if you have porous borders in the northwest and the southwest and in the far north, where you also have a major crisis with Boko Haram and their massive kidnappings, isn't that saying this? Isn't that saying what Anglophones were saying in the first place? This man should not be trusted. He has failed us since the 1960s. He has violated the agreements that we had. He has duped us. We should not. We should. Some people want us to want to secede, and others want federalism. Isn't that boiling down to the same thing?
I don't think so, because if you are not close to President Forbin, you will not understand what is happening in Northern Nigeria. President Forbin wants to stop down home crisis. Some people are blocking. I think if you listen to my outings before I joined the system, you understand that I used to give names of those who supply weapons in North and Southwest. And that was even what caused some people to arrange my arrest, because I was denouncing them. I have even submitted documents where names and numbers of people who supply weapons in North and Southwest. How? I've given names and how they do agencies that they transfer weapons from Yaoundé and Douala. I've given all those things. But have you stopped? No. I went to Bamenda to one company commander's office. There was a mobile money transfer agent there. They receive money inside the office for people who commit offenses. So
who received money in his office?
Yes, his office. I don't want to give the name for publicity reasons. International Mobile Money Transfer Agents. The agent is in the office of the company commander. Any negotiation, you withdraw or you deposit. So when I turned outside, I saw a lot of bikes that they have seized from people, put in a 20-ton vehicle for Douala. So when you tell me that, I mean, there is no business, how do you want the war to end? I went last time I was in Bamenda, from October 25th, I was at my 17th. I left Boya by 3rd, 4th December, and I was in Bamenda. I left Bamenda by around 17th or 18th of December. What I saw in Bamenda is exactly what everybody is saying, that there is business. This struggle is no more for their independence, so-called independence. The struggle is no more for separation. The struggle is for settlement of accounts, making a lot of money, making wealth, and killing people.
But isn't that a consequence of the government's inability to resolve the crisis before it spiraled?
We cannot talk about government inability here, because the government is having difficulties to implement all the resolution of the major national dialogue.
Before the major national dialogue, Mr. Chuo Walters, before the major national dialogue, in October or November of 2014, Akbar Bala wrote, and a group of lawyers, a trade union of lawyers and teachers, wrote to the Cameroonian government, wrote to Mr. Biya, and dropped it at the courier service. They did not get a response from anybody at the presidency. 2015, the clarion calls on the importance of the government to resolve this issue, where you had civil law magistrates carrying out law proceedings in common law jurisdictions. You had the Anglophone part of the country, the Anglophone education, the English subsystem of education that had become an issue. There were clarion calls from these organizations just calling on the government to care a little bit more. They did not care. There were conversations with some ministers whom you were familiar with. It ended up in attempts to bribe these people, the likes of the Abobalas and the Tassas, and the Fontaines, and then later on they were imprisoned, and nowhere was anybody talking about a war at that time. Nowhere was anybody talking about violence or secession at that time. This is 8 or 9 years after. Are you telling me that you want the viewers whom we have on here to believe you that there has been good faith on the part of the government and the government has really wanted to solve this problem?
I am not the Minister of Communication. I am not the Minister of Interior. I am not better placed to appreciate the government in the resolution of the Anglophone crisis. But as an opposition leader and somebody close to Biya, I can tell you that the government has done a lot of efforts, and they are still doing, and the efforts are still ongoing. But solutions are yielded on a daily basis. So we cannot have a definite solution now because there are some difficulties on the ground. I've mentioned the difficulties here. I went to Bamenda and my former principal was buried, and a ransom of 1 million francs was paid to Amber Boys. If not, he will not be buried in Santa. I don't want to give the name here for security reasons. So you can understand the kind of money that they are making. As they do like that, they send it for buying of weapons in Nigeria, Ghana. They even had a link with Boko Haram. I don't know whether, since I'm no more with in that side, I don't know what has happened. They had links with Boko Haram. They had weapons supplied from Ghana and Nigeria, and Republic, and all the countries. Chad, yes, with Chad, countries that are bordered to Cameroon. That's how they get their weapons. And some live Yaoundé and Douala. So I have denounced all these things. I've submitted to Biya. I've given to all those my ministers and so on. So it's not Dr. Chuo Waters who can answer the question, why is the government, why? I don't have any competence.
But you just told us that you are close to President Biya. You told us you were a close person of President Biya. And in fact,
not that I have shook hands with him. Not that I am close to, I've shook hands with him.
Did you have any conversation with him? When you say you're giving him facts, hard facts for him to review and take decisions on, don't you feel that for him to lag for all these years, even with your own calls, for him to do something about the English-speaking regions of the country and nothing is done, aren't you uncomfortable with that indolence?
If there is, let me start by telling you, if there is any Anglophone who have heard about Dr. Chuo Waters or knows Dr. Chuo Waters and said, I'm a threat, so I'm not serious, know that it is part of envy, because when I declare on the TV that if President Forbin doesn't receive me, I'll go and pick up arms because my people are tired with killings every day. So a few months after, I saw him and I gave the document that I developed with facts on the ground and what to be done. Who is responsible? I gave all the names to President Forbin, so he's the one now to tell us where he is in stopping the crisis. It's not Dr. Chuo Waters. I did my best.
Dr. Chuo Waters, you're saying that you have gone the extra mile to convince the Cameroonian regime to resolve the Anglophone crisis, and they have not resolved the Anglophone crisis. And you are still comfortable with being you are still comfortable with being a supporter of a regime that doesn't seem to listen to you even at a personal level?
No, please. I've not said the government have not solved the crisis. I said I have given everything that can help them solve the crisis. But now they have not totally solved the crisis. So I don't have any authority to know why they have not totally solved it, because they have everything. That's what I'm saying.
Can you give us a percentage from your own appreciation of how much you think that the government has solved the Anglophone crisis?
75%.
But you still have tens of thousands of people internally displaced. They have lost their livelihood, but their habitats as well. the Anglophone regions of our country have slipped back in terms of development by about 20 to 25 years. And you call that a resolution of the Anglophone crisis? Are you comfortable with driving to the Northwest and back without any security?
I was there and I came back. It's true that in suburbs, it's very difficult, but I must tell you that as I'm speaking to you now, the military is all over the old checkpoints, the checkpoints of the Amber Boys. So they have occupied all the checkpoints. Majority of them, more than 90% of the checkpoints of Amber Boys are now occupied by the military. I'm talking particularly to my village. Those who know Mili in Fundong subdivision, Boyo division of the Northwest, knows that the road from the divisional headquarters of Boyo to Mili, which is about 4 to 3 kilometers away from the divisional headquarters, the military, we have about 9 military checkpoints. From Fundong to Bamenda, we have about 35 military checkpoints. So they have chased Amber Boys to the bush, where when you are going to the farm, they adopt you.
But you know that you're not still able to reassure Cameroonians that the Northwest and Southwest are safe, because as of last week, I know people who are afraid to visit those parts of the country because of the fear of being harmed. Last year, I have a relative who was murdered at gunpoint, at close range, as he hurried back into his residence in broad daylight. We know of the brother of a congressman, a U.S. congressman, who was murdered as well. You want Cameroonians to believe that they can visit the Northwest and Southwest freely and 75% of the problem has been resolved?
Yes, I visited. I can reassure Cameroonians who are the diaspora that you should not be afraid to come home. I know that one was shot dead in Tarikun. He came home from US, and so I can tell you what happened, because people don't have the true story there.
Can you tell us the true story?
I'll give you the true story. I was with his brother at I don't want to mention the place. I was with his brother. Let me tell you what is happening. Maybe some people just say that you cannot come home and so on. You are free. This Northwest and Southwest is free to come home, but you must be very careful, because the government cannot be sending military behind every citizen. What happened to the man who was shot dead in Tarikon from US? They came as usual, because when you go back now, you should be ready for everything. I should not lack money in your pocket. So when they came and they were telling him that he has not been around for long, he should contribute for the struggle. When he was about discussing and the boys were afraid of the military, they wanted to take him by force on the bike. When he was resisting due to time wastage, they decided to shoot him. That's what happened. So if he climbed on the bike, when they took me, I left. I did not resist. When you go to Northwest and Southwest, they have to tell you how they are living there. It's different from other places and where you are. The life there is totally different. When you are there, you don't argue. When they want to take you, you go. You don't insult people. You don't fight. You don't take people's wives. There are terrible things that happen on ground. So he did not simply respect the life and the way of living in North and South. That's what happened to him. That's why he was shot. May his soul rest in peace. But that is what's happening on the ground now. So the government, do you think that it will come that time when they're kidnapping him to say he should not climb the bike?
So you say that
we have our own responsibility to protect our life, and the state protects us.
So you say that 75% of the Anglophone crisis has been resolved. Can you tell us why, since you're in the secret of the gods, can you tell us why prisoners of opinion like Mancho BBC, Ayuk Tabe, Penn Terence have not been released?
See, you are mixing two groups of leaders in the Anglophone crisis.
There are two groups of leaders, but they are groups of leaders of the Anglophone crisis. Arrested separately on different counts, but still, they are leaders of the Anglophone crisis. And one of the reasons why this crisis has spiraled into what we know it as today is because these men are behind bars. Is there a reason why they have not been released if 75% of the crisis has been resolved?
It has no link. The crisis is in stages. beginning 2016.
Mancho BBC, the same week as Neba Fontem, as Agbo Bala, as Aya Abine were arrested early of 2017. Please. And some of them were released, others not. And they were even tried in the military tribunal. And that in itself was another calamity. And let me say why. Because I don't know if you know of the SCAPO versus government resolution per the African Commission of Human and People's Rights in 2009, stating that nobody should be taken from the Southwest to Yaoundé to be tried. The government violated that and took these people to Yaoundé from the Southwest region to be tried in languages some of them do not understand, whereas the law wants for anybody who is accused or brought before a court to understand the language in which they are being tried. This was another violation in the middle of a crisis where lawyers were saying, we are fed up of being taken to courts where foreign magistrates speak a foreign law language to us. So the government trampled on their rights to even understand why they were being persecuted. That was the first group of people. The second, of course, when the crisis spiraled into the request for a secession after Agbo Bala had been arrested, who was really just an apostle of federalism. Ayuk Tabe was then arrested. After the NERA, I think as part of the NERA group, he was extradited and he was brought back to Cameroon. And I asked the question because these are different factions, different guilds of the same crisis, the Anglophone crisis. Some might be considered by others as a little more radical, but still, the nukes or the crux of the matter, the nucleus of this problem is the desire for Anglophones to exist as normal human beings in a country where the Constitution actually allows for that. And so I ask you the question again, you say that 75% of the crisis has been resolved, but these are important figures to their supporters of the crisis. Is there a reason why they still are in jail?
They're in jail because of the justice. Justice sentenced them. So here I cannot question the Constitution. I cannot question the law of terrorism of 2014. Which I was to be a victim of when I was arrested. That law of terrorism, that article, section 2 of the law of terrorism. That is what sent Ayuk Tabe, Mancho BBC, Penterence, the rest to prison. Adu Karim. That's that law. Is that law? So I think parliamentarians, if they don't want that it should happen again, they can go to assembly and change the law. That is the law that sent them to prison. So it's the way the Cameroon laws are. It's not me and you. You are right that people should not be arrested here and judged there. That problem was solved. We have English magistrate. After the major national dialogue, English magistrate are now in English courts. So I think that problem has been solved. Then you are mixing names. You would have started with one after the other. Mancho BBC, the group which I was sympathizing, they were Cover Revolution, they were asking for Vincent. Yes, Mancho BBC is from Cover Revolution. We were asking for Vincent Domo to leave Bamenda because the roads were bad. There was no water, no light. And Vincent Domo was the delegate in the former appellation of
town city mayor. The City Council of Bamenda.
Yes, we were asking for his departure. And by then, Mancho BC was, we were at Abakwa FM. If Mancho is listening to me, he will know some names of my co-panelists at Abakwa FM. We have
confirmed that that is correct. We do not dispute that.
I'm sending him greetings. I'm sending him greetings. Last time I was in Konongi, I saw but Siku Ayuk Tabe. I did not go to where Mancho is, but I'm telling Mancho that my brother, I will visit you. But I've already visited Sisiku Ayuk Tabe. He can confirm. I embrace him like that. And I told him that one day God will make a new story to Cameroon. So, Mancho BBC was not supposed to be in prison because he was asking, we were asking about roads, water, and light. It was not about terrorism. It's after Mancho was sent to prison that groups were formed and names given and leaders appointed and funds raised at the diaspora and both and home for weapons to be bought and fight the La Republique. Mancho was not there. So Mancho was not supposed to be in prison and paying Terence. So I myself, I am disturbed of hearing that Mancho is in prison. But Asisiko Ayuktabe would have been because of the meeting they held in Nigeria. So the Naira 10. So it's because of the Naira 10, which is against the terrorism law of 2014 that sent Sisuka Ayuktabe and the rest. But keep Mancho BBC, keep the group of cover revolution different. And the crisis is in stages because now we are no more as was the beginning. The beginning 2016. So many things have been changed. You can go home, but there are red zones where you cannot go there. Danger zones, we should put like that. So please, we should blame everybody. I'm not saying that we should not blame the government. But the population down there, they have their own responsibility because all those things that those Amber boys, majority of them have taught them, or they know me now. Majority of them I've taught so many of them in school. When I was in the Northwest, I've trained majority of them. So when I go and see them with guns, I'm disturbed. And when I come to Yaoundé and tell them that this is what to do, I don't know. So I'm just confused. I don't know why is it that now. I'm calling for a new national dialogue. That is what I have proposed to Bia. A new national dialogue with everybody. Even Amber boys should be there. All those in prison should be there. Diaspora should be there. That's what I've proposed to Bia. That is the peaceful national resolution.
Let me ask you a question.
There's a commission that.
So, who to you is the reason behind the Anglophone problem and now the Anglophone crisis or the war on Anglophones? Who is responsible? Who is the beginning of the problem?
The beginning of the problems are those who sponsored the problem.
Who sponsored the problem?
Groups were formed now, and those groups were formed and funds were raised.
So that's the beginning sent of the buy weapons problem?
No. I'm talking about the activities on the ground. If you are talking about responsible of the Anglophone problem, you need to go back to
a global perspective. Who, in your view, is responsible for the Anglophone problem?
France is responsible. If you want the truth, France is responsible.
Okay. So Biya is completely exempt from any responsibility. The president of Cameroon is exempt from any responsibility of keeping a section of his population safe and feeling accepted and equal to another section of the population. Is that what you're saying?
No. President Obia is making peace in those two regions. We cannot say that he doesn't have his own part of responsibility. He has his own part of responsibility, but the greater part goes to France. Since 1916 now, after the victory against the Germans, 1919. Yes, 1919. You know that Cameroon was divided into two third and
so after
three quarter.
After 43 years of a Biya regime, you believe that he should be given another 7 to resolve, and you trust that he can resolve the problem this time?
Yes, I believe that he should end what he has started. So I asked that they should give him just one mandate. This mandate, because what he has started for 42 years, let him run it off in the next mandate. That's my belief.
Are you supporting him as a person or as the values of the CPDM party?
No. I've never been a member of the CPDM. I'm supporting President Forbin as an individual. There is no community, there's no Anglophone in it. It's the support of Dr. Chuo Waters. It's not Anglophones. It's not my community. No, the CPDM. It's my personal conviction.
Okay, so if he were to leave power, you would no longer support any of his close collaborators. You would not be a support to the CPDM.
No. The day Bias leave, I may go back to opposition.
So what are some of the qualities or the values that you appreciate in him for you to support him so indefatigably?
The silence, forgiveness, and discretion. Those are the values.
You talked of silence, and that brings me to the next part of our conversation. You were the topic of controversy this entire week and last week as well, when you made some claims that you had caught a glimpse of him at the Unity Palace where you were on the 13th of August to deposit a motion of support for him. And my first question is, you were there and you saw him. What stopped you from having a conversation with him? Because in any case, the reason why you went there was for him.
No, I went to get him a document, and there is a procedure to hand the document. I respected the procedure. On my way out, the vehicle that was the vehicle that took me out of Unity Palace happens to have by mistakenly passed behind his apartment, behind the longest building with the flag. So we passed behind those apartments and towards to the road at the Carrefour du Palais. That is where he told me that voici ton père. Il faut aller dire à la télé qu'il vit comme Chuo m'a dit qu'il ne le voit plus. I have just paraphrased what that person who carried me in his car told me. I don't know him, and I would never see him. It was my first time to see him at Unity Palace.
So you didn't see him, but somebody else saw him for you and told you that was him.
Not that he saw and told me. He said, "Look there." I look. He said, "Have you seen Pa?" I said, "Yes, that is Pa." So I was touched. I saw him physically. He said, "Look there." I saw.
So what part
I saw
of the
you say,
building were you went to deposit or pick up a file where the secretariat, which is pretty much at the entrance and about 500 meters from the place where the president's offices are?
Let me describe where the president's office is. Maybe some people don't know the presidency. That the longest building with the flag has 3 levels. The first level, the second level is the civil cabinet. Then the last floor is the president's. Yes. Then 100 meters away behind that building are the second offices of President Pobia.
The Secretary General, and then special duties ministers as well. Technical advisors.
I'm not there. That's not what I'm talking about. The chancellery is also there. That's not what I'm talking about. There are some apartments that are different from where you are mentioning that the president come and works there.
Okay.
On the day they were depositing candidatures for the presidential election, he came out at 6 p.m. People were already out of the office. Some were running back, but when he must have already gone. When I saw President Pobia, I'm not lying.
You saw him twice.
President Pobia is alive.
The presidency twice. For when you went there in the month of July, when there were candidacies were being declaration of candidacies were being deposited at Elections Cameroon, and then you went back there, and you saw him again on the 13th of August, which was last week. That's quite a few times. So you're a regular at the presidency. You have connections.
No. My first time going to the presidency was because I presented a project on Canal 2 that I can solve the Anglophone crisis, and they called me to come with the project and discuss with them in a meeting and tell them what can be done. That is how I knew presidency. I have not gone to presidency. I've never received any money from there. I've never received any car. I've not received any favor.
There. Who is your contact there? Who are the people that called you and you had conversations with? Are you speaking of the Secretary General, Special Duties Minister Gamboa? Who is this person, or who are these people?
No, they don't say it, madam. They don't say it in public.
I'm asking because I heard you on the television station say that you wanted to greet them, and you sounded very familiar. So that's why I want to know. And not everybody, I mean, the average Cameroonian does not know what the inside of the presidency looks like. So this is the reason why I want to know. Some people want to find out because they too want to have the opportunity to visit State House.
The Unity Palace is open for everybody. It's open. Everybody can go there. There's no selection, but it depends on what you are going to do. So the names of people I called on my video was that I'm asking them that they should respect the procedure of what I went to presidency to do. I don't know them. I've never met them before. So I cannot give my contacts like that on the TV or in public. No, they don't do it. That's not how it works, madam. I cannot give the name. I've been going to the presidency 2022. Only for Anglophones.
So you saw the back of the president, or you saw his face? Or you greeted him? Was he downstairs? Was he upstairs?
Last time I shook hands with the president, I shook hands with President Paul Biya. It was in his village in a ceremony.
What did he tell you?
No, he just took. I was with the book. He took the book in my hand and just said he knows me on TV. That's all. And we shook hands. He took the book and gave to his Etat Major.
Did he
because it doesn't work with anything.
And I'm asking the question because
yes.
in December of 2022, he was visiting the US for an Africa-USA summit. And of course, that video has made rounds around the world, and different television outlets carried it. And he didn't really seem to know where he was. Not sure if the protocol wasn't on their best that day, but from every indication, he seemed a little, a little out of sorts. And images like that have become a little bit more rampant. In the rare outings that we see now, he's accompanied, and you can clearly tell that he's being closely watched, just to be sure that nothing goes wrong. Are you saying that? And we just lost him, but we hope that he can reconnect shortly and join us, and we can continue the conversation. Chuo Walters Aya was part of the Coffin Revolution with Mancho BBC, and then
document.
Later
and procedure to hand the document.
Oh, wow.
I respected the procedure.
Later decamped, and he decided to join the Romans because he felt that he could not beat them. That's a commonly used expression. Today, he says that the Biya regime has 75% resolved the Anglophone problem. Not quite clear on how or why prisoners of opinion have not been released to back up his claims. He also says that he saw President Paul Biya twice at the presidency and another time in his village in Vomeka. But as soon as he's able to reconnect with us, we'll continue the conversation because I would like for us to just discuss current issues, the major defense concerns of our country with Boko Haram in the far north kidnapping 25 people, 5 siblings from the same family, and they have been asking for 50 million francs CFA ransom from the mother, who was on a local television today and claims that one of her children may have been killed. And they are now asking for 5 million francs. A tragic story. The government seems to be very mute about that. She says they've told her it's top secret and they are working to see how they can release the hostages. And the question continues to grow amongst Cameroonians. Should this be kept a secret when we know for a fact that 25 people have been kidnapped? Should the government stay silent like a carp, or communicate and show that they care and they are working, and reassure Cameroonians that they are working on this very burning issue? And in other news as well, regarding the presidential elections, which, as we know, is also the main mark of this 2025, a presidential election year. Well, one of the candidates for the Univer Party, Barrister Akere Muna, has petitioned the Constitutional Council and called for the disqualification of the incumbent Paul Biya, who is 92 years old and who is running for an 8th term, but is barely seen or seldom seen in public, even though Walters tells us the contrary, that he is working and is in good health. So we hope we can have him back on so that we can wrap up the conversation. This thing and the mute again. Jay-Z Macaulay, I appreciate your time here. Yeah. You have a weird feeling that he was called to stop the conversation, just like it happened with Yepga. Well, he'll tell us. He will tell us. We'll find out more. Mm. Yeah, Walters, we want Walters to come back. We want Dr. Chuo to come back. We still have not discussed his recruitment into the University of Bertois earlier this year. Prior to that, of course, there had been protests. PhD holders in Cameroon it has always been a struggle for their integration into the public service. He is going to be joining us shortly to discuss some of that. Righty. He tells me that he's back on, so my guess is that he may have run out of battery and was trying to quickly reconnect. But yeah, we're waiting on him so that we can wrap up this conversation. On attend. Yeah. I remember that song. That was a good one. Yes, Nestor, I think you might be onto something. Maybe he got some les hautes instructions. C'est qu'au Cameroun, les instructions portent toujours les salamandres. Donc, peut-être que c'est ça, qui sait. Mais il me rassure qu'il est là. Donc, nous attendons juste qu'il se rejoigne à nous pour qu'on termine la conversation. Ramilus Nesta says Walters is looking for a job. We saw him at the MinSoup office months ago. Now he's saying that Bia is younger than him. I thought he just got recruited in the University of Bertois. Why would he be looking for a job again? Ghaabi, BT Egbe, why are you wasting your time with this guy? This man is dangerous for anglophones. Monsieur le Régional, j'ai bien noté. I see pas, which pas? Lies, panjans. Oh my gosh. Seeing the president an achievement. Good question. Son crédit, non, son crédit ne peut pas quand même finir comme ça. Monsieur, no coalition, no vote. C'est quand même un nom régulier de la présidence. So, I mean, I believe that he's ready for the interview. He reassured me that he wanted to be on this live today. We had a conversation earlier in the day, and he was prepared. He was prepared. So I just think maybe he ran out of phone battery, and he will be joining us shortly. Yeah. Yeah. The year has gone by so fast. We blinked and we are winding down to the end of the year. Marcel Nana, the Yepga effect. Oh, he's coming back. He just reassured me that he's going to be back on here in a very little while. And so, yeah. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Cho Walters Aya is our guest. He's a BS supporter and a university lecturer recently recruited at the University of Bertois. He will be sharing with us a little bit about his career as well. He's well known in radio stations and on televisions programs. He's going to share. I'd love to pick his brain about the current events in our country, especially with defense issues regarding Boko Haram. That is one big hot potato. Yeah, next don't. So you think they did the same thing that was done to Yebga? But who even knows what was done to Dieudonné Yebga? All I know is he went on TV for a program, and I mean, barely 8 minutes into it, they just put some kind of Nelson Mandela documentary, and that was the end of the story. No information, nothing was said, blackout completely, and nobody has ever heard from him again or heard about him again. J'ai dit les instructions qui portent les salamandres, vraiment, like really, really haute, haute. Yeah. Okay, so we're just waiting on him to join us. But Jay-Z and all the other Anglophones who are here, do you believe that 75% the Anglophone problem has been resolved? The Anglophone crisis has been resolved by a percentage of 75? Do you feel that most of the problem has been resolved? If anyone is here, kindly tell me what you think about the Anglophone problem. Okay, he's joining us back here. And okay, I just added him. So any minute now, we should have Show Walters Aya back on here to wrap up this conversation. Très haute structure. I never hear it anywhere else. Anywhere else, but only here. Crocus du Congo sound. Some of your pseudos are so funny. Your proxy accounts are ridiculous. Like some of your names are just, they crack me up. I'm not Anglophone, but that is lies. Okay. Okay, so he met them in some offices during the last hiring procedure, and he was crying that his name wasn't on the list. I remember that. Um, I remember that. That is true. That he complained severely and threatened to go back to supporting Amber. Yes, Dr. Cho Walters, please try to re-enter. I already added you, so you're more than welcome to be back on here. You can wrap up the conversation. Shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes for us to end this convo. Okay, sure. You are not sure he was finally recruited? I think he was. I believe that he was recruited to the university to become a lecturer at the University of Bertois. Yeah, it's a newly created university. Ghaabi,
What's happening? Am I live? Please.
yes, you are.
I'm sorry, please.
Okay, okay. Um, Show Walters, I'm waiting on you. Okay, right ahead. Rams, that's such a mean thing to say. Why would you think so? Okay, he's almost back on here. Dr. Cho Walters Aya, we really appreciate you. We were interrupted for some reason or other, but I appreciate your time and your patience with us. It's been great having you on the program, just for you to share a little bit more about yourself, your perspective, the why you do what you do. But you are also, I remember, one of those who was supporting a growing movement for Frank Biya to run for president. And also, it's rumored that you were a supporter of the APAR political party at its founding by Celestin Jammeh. Why should Cameroonians trust you when you crisscross so much? Because now you are a Paul Biya supporter. You started out in the coffin revolution. You're not even 40 years old.
Yes, I'm not here 40 years.
Why do people believe you or trust you as a man of principle when you crisscross so much?
The error I did before doing all those things was that I didn't have a job. So when you don't have a job and you are being threatened, you must go to where you can be safe. I struggled and I got one. So it's not that I can build my convictions, but before, I think politics has no formula. But you are right to say so. It was because I had no stable job. That's the reason.
So you are not a man of convictions. That's what you're owning. Right now is when you're going to build your convictions. You're supporting Mr. Bia because he gave you a job.
No, I've always been supporting Mr. Bia, not because he gave instructions that we should get the job because he doesn't want noise in Yaoundé. Mr. Bia didn't make me favor. He was under pressure. If it was favor, he would have done the favor since. So it was after the strike that I was the leader with other leaders that they have been recruited. Bia did not do me any favor. He gave instruction that he doesn't want noise in Yaoundé. They should recruit those children.
But
that was all.
But a
It's not favor.
strike, is that not pressure enough? I mean, a strike from PhD holders is pressure. Don't you think so? Did you would in a normal republic or a normal world would you need to strike for you to get a job at the end of your degree program?
No, it's not normal. It's because of I can say that the level of the rate of unemployment in Cameroon is very high, and the educational system is not is not adapted to the professional world. That is why the problem is not the problem is the system. The educational system is not adapted to the professional world. It's now that they are trying to do it. So the demand for work by PhD holders is more than supply, and
So
that is why they have.
So who is the highest representation of the system in Cameroon? Because you say it is the system that is the problem.
The system is not the one Bia has now. It's the system of the colonial master. Bia is just a servant of the colonial master. The system is the same system that was in the before independence. Because
I mean, don't you think aren't you infantilizing him to say that the system is not him when this man has been president of Cameroon for 43 years? Are you saying that he's just a French stooge?
He came into a system. So he's not the one who created this system. That's what I'm saying.
But he has the powers to change it.
Yeah, he's doing it. He's doing it, and you see what the ministers are doing. They're stealing money. Some of them are stealing money. So do you think that President Paul Biya can be staying with each and every person he appoints to see whether he's working well or not? It's true that we have to blame him, but the greater part of the responsibility goes to those who are supposed to do it.
But what about systems of checks and balances? What about an independent judiciary? What about a legislative arm that is not on a payroll of the executive? Because what you're saying is that he's doing the job, but he cannot control the integrity of his collaborators. Does he need to personally control them? Doesn't it mean that his system of checks and balances has failed?
No, it has not failed. The issue is that some of his ministers have become, how can we say, they have become too wicked that they even want his regime to collapse, and they are working against him. We can say that for 43 years he has tried his best, but he cannot do everything. But he must have done, and he's still doing what he can do according to the means that Cameroon has as resources.
So I just want to follow up with a very burning issue of national defense now, since we spoke so lengthily about the Anglophone crisis, which has also become a defense issue. And which it should not be, because it's a political problem, and in private circles, high-ranking officials actually acknowledge that the response to the Anglophone problem is not in arms, but should be a political resolution, should be at a conversation. at the dialogue table.
No, we
With
need a
key
dialogue.
actors related to the crisis, not a truncated dialogue. But that brings me to another question I wanted to ask you about the current events of kidnappings in the northern parts of the country. Especially, I speak about the far north kidnapping this weekend of 25 people by Boko Haram. The government has remained kind of tight-lipped. She hasn't communicated very much about this issue, but we have a woman who is emotionally in shatters because she has 5 children, all 5 of her children who were kidnapped. One of them may have been killed. They're asking her for a ransom of 50 million CFA, and as of today, they've been asking for 5 million, and the rumor is they've dropped the number because they've murdered one of her children, her eldest son. Do you want to make any comments about that? Aren't you concerned about how defense matters are handled in the country?
Well, you are mixing so many things. You are talking about governance and insecurity. Well, let me start with insecurity. Boko Haram.
So you don't consider that Boko Haram is an issue of defense?
That's why I'm saying that you have highlighted 2 issues: insecurity in the northern part of Cameroon and the governance. Well, I don't know whether you talk governance on the side of the military or maybe the government. But let me start with security. Who created Boko Haram? Do you know where Boko Haram come from? Who give them guns? So I want to tell you that in matters of security, we need to be very careful. You have to read the indices in the communication between the kidnappers and the family. I want to confirm to you here that Boko Haram members, majority, real Boko Haram don't speak French. They don't speak English. They speak their dialects.
So you're saying that the people who kidnapped this weekend did not speak? They have
links. They have links. They are not real Boko Haram. They have links with Boko Haram, or they are working with Boko Haram. I'm giving my own opinion as a researcher. They have links with Boko Haram, but they are not the real Boko Harams. The first question is, who created Boko Haram? Why is Boko Haram not disappearing?
So I overheard the conversation between the negotiations between the family and the hostage takers, Boko Haram, and they did not speak in French. I just want to say that. I can forward that to you. But also,
yes.
These questions are very burning issues, and I really want to get your input on how you think that the government is managing this particular problem. Do you think it is comforting for the mother who sits at home with 5 children missing to hear from you that to have you try to explain who Boko Haram is and who Boko Haram is not? She just wants her children.
I was still to reach there. Okay. I'm saying that Boko Haram is a result of imperialism.
Okay.
Just like the Islamic State, Al-Shabaab, the Muslim Brotherhood,
yeah.
Yes. Yes. And the M23 in Congo, with other, because we have more than 170 of them in the world. But the most dangerous one, Boko Haram is one of the most dangerous ones. Imperialists are the ones who are supplying them guns. So when they kidnap, yes, let's talk about the murder and the internal security and so on. I think that the government, I'm not the government, I'm not speaking for the government, but from my own view of things, the government is planning to communicate any of these days. That is, in any moment from now, as I'm talking to you, the government will communicate. So the government is not you and me. They take time to find out why they were kidnapped, what happened, Boko Haram, and so they want to know. The government is taking its time to communicate. They don't work like me and you. So I don't know why the mothers. I want to pay my heartfelt condolences to the bereaved family, to the child who was executed. I saw the mother crying. I'm touched. I'm feeling touched. I'm telling the mother that she should just be calm. She just be calm because a solution will be gotten. So she should not be feeling as if she's no more a Cameroonian, or maybe she's disappointed from the government or and so on. So she should understand that it is as they told her that it was a top secret between the government and I heard something like that. So the government does not work like me and you. Maybe there are some secret that they cannot be put to public.
But
the government
what is so
is
secret and what is so different about a government that she cannot come out and say, hey, we are working through this. We understand this is a burning issue and we want to reassure you people that we will do everything to bring the hostages, to take back the hostages, to release the hostages. This is done every other place on the planet. What is so different and what is so unique that we cannot come out, or a government official or a spokesperson cannot come out and make an official statement?
I'm saying that they will come out any moment from now as I'm talking to you. They are taking time to gather facts from the intelligence service on the ground. They have their procedure from the security that they do before communicate. They don't just communicate immediately. I
just wanted to play a quick, short clip of Boko Haram negotiating with her family.
Maybe the people out there think that the government is reactive immediately as here. All the government in Africa, because I don't know where that's the procedure of the government. It's the procedure of the government. They will communicate later after gathering enough of facts and indices from the ground to communicate. And the government does not negotiate with terrorists. That's another thing. So the mother does.
But I have a question. What does that even mean, that the government does not negotiate with terrorists? Because the reason why wars come to an end, everywhere else in the world, governments negotiate with warring parties. Government negotiate with terrorists, in quotes. So what does that mean, that the government does not negotiate with terrorists? Is that a theory that has worked for the Cameroonian government? And who is a terrorist? Because, and I ask the question because Anglophones were branded, leaders were branded as terrorists, and the government said she was not going to negotiate with any terrorists, branding the Ayuk Tabes as terrorists. But today, do you think that that is a principle that has worked for her? When you look at the carnage in the northwest and southwest of Cameroon, why is it so hard for the government to sit down and have a conversation with an adversary or somebody they don't agree with?
The constitution says that the government should not negotiate with a terrorist.
Who is a terrorist, Mr. Chuo Walters? According to your own definition, can you tell me who a terrorist is?
Terrorists are the one who practice acts of terrorism according to the law of 2014 on terrorism.
Did Ayuk Tabes practice an act of terrorism?
Yes, because of his declaration. I said 2014 terrorism law. If you say on TV that if you make declarations of secession on TV, you are a terrorist. There's 2014 terrorism law in Cameroon. I'm not the one who voted it.
Do you agree with that law though? Because I mean that was a very controversial law when it was adopted or voted into law. That was very, very controversial bill when it was voted into law. Do you agree with it?
If you want my personal opinion, I will tell you that if I were a parliamentarian, I will contest that law at the assembly. That's the answer I can give you.
So you don't agree with the law?
I agree with the law, but I think the law should be modified, because I was a victim too. I was arrested for making declarations. They should adjust. In fact,
that 2014 law is just a bag to throw in every little bit of dissidence in Cameroon and to stifle civil rights?
Well, I don't know why it was voted. It was voted after after Boko Haram. Boko Haram started, and immediately that law was voted for Boko Haram, and it is applied now into the entire country. That law was voted specifically to Boko Haram because people were already writing Boko Haram in their bikes, in their cars, and everywhere in 2000 before 2015. So they decided that they should vote that law to everybody talk about Boko Haram. So that law happens to have worked so well for the Anglophone crisis. whose fault is that? So I think the law has comforted Biya instead. So I don't know what I can tell you. If I were a parliamentarian, I would ask that they should modify. Because if you go on TV and make some declarations which are just linked to terrorism, you are a terrorist. If you pick up guns, you are a terrorist. If they can take you even on the street walking. So that law should be revised. That is what we are saying. I'm not saying that the law is bad or good, but it needs modification.
Presidential elections, October 12th of this year. Do you think, because earlier on you said that per your own appreciation, 75% of the Anglophone crisis had been resolved. Do you think Anglophones will have a voice in the upcoming presidential election? Do you think that they have relocated back to their initial habitats and they have their names, they are registered to vote, and they'll be participating actively in the upcoming presidential election?
Yes, I went back home. My town is like Douala.
When's the last time that you went home? Last year?
Last year, yes, last year.
But I mean, I know that generally people from the grassfields part of the country, so the northwest or the western parts of the country and parts of the southwest, tend to return home quite frequently. 1 year since you visited home, isn't that quite a long period of time? If the place were as peaceful and as joyful as you claim, wouldn't you have been back there a few other times?
No, it's just Edmonds that are last left. I think that Edmonds is not small. Edmonds is okay. Edmonds, because I left them.
You were there in October.
No, I said I was there from October to December. I went first to Boya. The pictures are on my Facebook page. That's why I cannot lie here. When last I went to Bamenda, I went to Boya before going to Bamenda. I was on mission.
So are you going to be voting in the Northwest, or you're going to be voting in Yaoundé?
No, I will vote in Yaoundé because of my activities. I cannot travel to vote in the North. No, so the next day.
When you see chiefs residing in Yaoundé who have moved and are almost permanent there, doesn't it make you uncomfortable? Why should they be leaving so far away from their subjects if everything has returned to almost normal?
No, I didn't say everything has returned on normal 100%.
You said 75%. That is 2/3 of the problem resolved.
Yes, 75%, which means that majority of the towns in the north and the south are functioning with villages. The 25% are villages where there are difficulties and business still going on. Business for the warmongers now. So that's 25% reserved for warmongers.
Well, still in the presidential elections, we have a candidate, an Anglophone candidate, Barrister Akere Muna, who has called on the elimination of the candidacy of Paul Biya, and the reasons that the disqualification of Biya's candidacy. And his claims are that Biya is in a state of cognitive and physical dependence, which is against the Constitution. Do you have any comments to make about that?
I think
92 years old, 43 in power, can barely walk, at least with every time that we've seen him in public. He's pretty much accompanied very closely by his spouse. He says very little now in public, except for the 31st of December, 20th of May, or key periods of the year. You rarely ever see him now. They don't want us zooming in on him at the 20th May, March past. You're saying that he doesn't have any problem and he's active, and you should not pay heed to anything that the other candidates are saying about the adversary?
Well, you have so many worries about the president of the Republic of Cameroon, but I want to tell you that
absolutely. I mean, it's not about my worries. It's about every other person's perception. Politics is a game of perception. You and I were not even born when Mr. Biya came into power, and this is another candidate who is saying that the man is in a state of cognitive and physical dependence. It is against the Constitution. What are your comments to that?
It's not against the Constitution. thank God that you brought up this issue. Let me trash it out once and for all. Section 15, sub 6 of the Constitution, but it's from 4 to 6. It says that there are 3 ways to declare that the president is absent or the president cannot govern again. There are 3 ways. The first way is that if he dies, there are procedural formalities to do to see how they can make a transition. If he is maybe incapacitated, he does not have any way and he can declare the vacancy in the case of a vacancy. So in that case of a vacancy, they have not defined there whether
the incapacitation is what we are referring to. The state of cognitive and physical dependence alludes to incapacitation.
Yeah, but the fact is that there is no public ceremony where the law says he should appear and he has not appeared. That is where we should judge from. If he doesn't appear, we can talk about, we can
So
validate the hypothesis.
Or 35, you are comfortable with a president that you cannot even see. You don't hear from only on official ceremonies. You're comfortable.
No, I see him. You are not, people don't see, but me, I see him.
Well,
I don't have any problem.
I asked you if you had seen him. Initially, you said you were close. I restated, and you said no. You had just shaken hands with him, and you had seen him from afar. If you were so accessible as you claim, why didn't you walk up to him last week when you caught a glimpse of him in the presidency?
No, please don't make up things. I have seen President Paul Biya twice, shook hands with him once. There are 2 different events. I took hands before seeing him again for the second time on a distance. So in the distance, I was not going to see him. He was in his lounge, in his apartment there. So I saw him at the distance in his apartment. I did not see somewhere around, we can just say somewhere around the Unity Palace where he lives. I saw him there. But I shook hands with him. It was at the beginning of the year in a traditional ceremony in his village. So I don't want to go for more details.
I mean, you've already given us a good amount of details. So you're saying that he is not in a state of cognitive and physical dependence?
No, President Paul Biya is in a full state of governance. He doesn't have any problem.
And so the video from the 22nd of December 2022, you didn't feel uncomfortable with that when it went viral while he was in the United States. You felt that he had everything together.
No. I'm talking about what I see with my 2 eyes. I don't want to talk about what I don't know.
Well, Mr. Aya, how are you doing with your new posting at the University of Betwa?
Well, I'm on duty. I'm on duty since May.
Are you enjoying it over there?
Yes. Well,
and I asked because I know how much of a struggle it was for you to get posted or integrated. There was a strike, even though you say that it was not pressure on Mr. Biya, but still, a strike is considered as pressure to draw attention to the powers that be, to get a response from them, to move their hands. You did strike. Prior to that, there have also been other strike, other threats to strike, where you had mentioned 80 of you were going to go on a strike, and then the senior divisional officer, I think in the Fundi, had come and asked you not to stand off or to hold off on that. But they had said that the 80 signatures that you said you had looked similar to yours, and it was only your own that they could verify. Who are some of the members of your organization? I mean, and it's an honest question, because last week there were you talked of 800 signatures on it, or earlier this week you talked of 800 signatures. That's a whole lot of signatures for PhDs. Do you have like an association? How do you manage to even strike? Because there's some people who want to just go out and peacefully protest, and they're not able to.
Why they are not able, but I succeeded. I don't know. Maybe they don't have my tactics and my techniques. Since I'm an old Coven Revolution member, maybe they don't know how to do it. I did it and I succeeded. But about the list, please.
Mm-hmm.
The 80 signatures are deposited at the DOS office.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they were real. Those who say that they are similar, I don't know, because we scan this, they sign online. It was signed online and a photocopy and went and deposited there.
Okay.
So we are a collective, we are a platform of doctors. We are not an association. It's a platform of doctors. 800, more than 800. Because in my WhatsApp group here, where I am one of the administrators, we are 823.
Okay.
So we are more than 800. That represented by 10 leaders. How can I say? Yeah, leaders and spokespersons. I'm one of the spokespersons. I can say I'm the spokesperson because for my leaders, I'm the spokesperson, and majority we are 10 representing more than 800. So I can remember we have Dr. Songe Emmanuel. He's at the University of Douala. We have Dr. Kim Leonard. We have Dr. Mbila Fabegras. We have Dr. Muntoso Bell. And we have Dr. Mulemba Otok. So those are some of the names that signed the motion of support. We are 10. We signed the motion of support to win and deposit it. So that is what happened. Okay. So we are representing 800.
Who do you think, when you look at the opposition today, the politics of the opposition today, I'm sure that you saw the end of deliberations at the Constitutional Council. Do you feel that the Dutch justice system is free and fair?
Yes.
But you just said earlier that Mancho BBC should not be in jail.
That's what I said it, supporting an argument that they should revise the terrorism law because Mancho was not supposed to be in prison. But Sisuku Ayuktab is supposed to be in prison. Everybody who was sentenced by that terrorism law of 2014 is okay. But for Mancho BBC, he was not supposed to be in jail. I remain on that fact.
Dr. Chuo Waters, it's been such a pleasure having you today. Would you have any other thing any remarks that you would like to make to close out this conversation?
I would like to tell Anglophones that they should be calm and patient, for light is coming soon.
After tens of thousands of people have been displaced and thousands of people, both troops and Anglophones, have lost their lives in a senseless war.
It took 40 years. It took 40 years for the Israelites to see the promised land.
The context was completely different. This war was not necessary. Do you think this was a necessary war?
Who caused the war?
The war in the days of the Bible was religious persecution, was a result of religious persecution, Pharaoh, Egypt, and the Israelites. But in this particular context, do you think that Anglophones do you think that the raison d'etre of the war by the regime in 2016, in October 1, when they opened fire on peaceful protesters with peace plans in the Southwest, you think that was called for?
The issue is that the government was determined at the beginning of the crisis, but the different blocks of Naira 10, all the names that are over there. So they were not understanding themselves to negotiate. The government has even undergone some negotiations behind closed doors with people who are there in jail.
But before you get to that point, how did the government manage to send a man like Aya Abine to jail? How did the government manage to send a man like Agbo Bala to jail? How did the government manage to send a man like Neba Fontaine to jail? Those are questions that would really love for one to be able to answer. They did not pose any defense threats to the country.
We seems not to be understanding each other.
Clearly.
It wasn't my I didn't. I don't even want. I do not like seeing them there in prison like Agoba and the rest. It was not good for me for them going to prison. I'm telling you that there is something in the terrorism law, section 2, that they need to revise. That is what is disturbing in Cameroon now. So that is that law. They have to revise that law. That's what sent them to jail. So who should we blame here? Those who voted.
But prior to that, the government had tried to bribe them when they were making their claims known. When they sat at a table, the government wanted to hush their concerns, their very valid concerns, and throw a little bit of money at them for them to shut up, and they said no. Should the government's approach have been to try to bribe them instead of resolve the very burning issues they were referring to?
I don't have proofs of what you are talking about, so well, I cannot comment.
The actors are alive. Anyway,
well, let them bring proof. We'll let them bring proof.
It has been such a pleasure again having you, and we hope to stay in touch and to reconnect again sometime soon. I hope that you stay out of trouble. No controversies from you.
No, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I've already gone through all those stages. So there's nothing that is new to me. I want to tell on the phones that
your life because I know that you have been visited a few times.
No, I can go when I want. If I'm going, I should not tell them that I'm going. So I'm not afraid.
Okay.
God created me for a purpose. Okay. And I must fulfill God's mission in this world. And God will call me when he wants me to go. So I should not be, I'm afraid of who and why. I strike before getting a job. So it was not favor.
What about those who have not been able to position themselves in public spaces and gain attention from government officials, but are equally qualified and jobless today? What do you have to say to them?
They have not come to me. Let them get in contact with me. They have not got in contact. So many those I mobilized, how many? 500. They went for strike, but there were 8, you know. The rest came, were more than 100. Majority have had the jobs now because of me. Majority have had jobs because of me. So those who don't have a way to be, but let them come and join me. I have people who just gave me phone calls, and then I added their name on the list, and today they have a job.
So any PhD holder who is looking for a job should reach out to you.
They should join my group. Yeah, they should join my WhatsApp group. We are more.
What's
we are
the name of the WhatsApp group?
No, I cannot give the name in public. If the person knows, should come and write me on Facebook. I will give the link for the person to join, and then I will approve.
Thank you so much, and have a good night.
The pleasure is mine.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Well, Chuo Walters was our guest tonight. Is Paul Biya's supporter and a university lecturer at the University of VAS-Y. And you've heard it. He says he saw Paul Biya last week in his private apartment as he drove away after depositing or picking up a document to fill out as a motion of support in view of the presidential elections. He's throwing his weight behind Paul Biya. He also says that if you're a PhD holder and you're looking for a job, join his WhatsApp group. He hasn't told us what the group is, but he would be telling us maybe soon at some point. And he would make it happen for you. He has helped, he says, a group of his friends or colleagues to get jobs as early as in February of this year. It's on that note that we're calling this quits. It's been more than an hour, and I just wish you all a wonderful evening, and I thank you for your participation and your patience. Until then, it's been Angie Forbin.